Hey everybody, this is Graham here at therecordingrevolution.com. Got a quick video for you today on using reference tracks when mastering. How do you do that, and what's a sort of workflow for doing that? Now, why would you want to use a reference track? The simple answer is if you're mastering your tracks, you're mastering something for somebody else or maybe your own music, you've got final mixes, they're bounced down to a stereo file. It's good to, when you're mastering, doing final tweaks, final limiting, compression, evening out volume, all that kind of stuff, to be listening, referencing something that has been completed, that sort of is at a quality level that you seem is appropriate. Maybe this is a professional track, maybe this is a major label recording, something that's on the radio, something that you think has a kind of similar sound that you appreciate, and it's sort of like your standard. You're trying to reference, okay, what am I getting my music to sound like in the mastering session? And okay, now let me flip over and listen to a mastered, finished, polished recording, and do you go, oh wow, I'm way off, this sounds a lot brighter, what have you. So it's obviously helpful for just getting your ears to compare it to something else. Now there's a million ways to do this, and here's one way to do it in the software, in your DAW. I'm in Pro Tools here, and if you notice, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bounced tracks. These are final mixes. You can even tell they're not limited in any way, volume increases, decreases, but these are my final mixes. And what I've done is imported them into a new session, and this is a 24-bit session, so they're still 24-bit, and I've dragged them in on a stereo track, audio track called masters. Okay, these are the tracks I'm mastering. Then I've created a second stereo audio track called reference. And this is where you can import songs you want to reference it to. So I've imported in Pro Tools into my region list. These are the masters here. They kind of correspond with what you're seeing on the left. Then I brought in a couple other tracks here that are professional tracks that are already done. 2 from a group called Blue Merle, 1 from a group called Russia Fool. So I just imported these. These are, off of a CD or out of my iTunes library or whatever. And you can drag those in, and you can see that, these are really limited and squashed. You've got the full volume all the way through. These are completely done. So 2 things here. One is you want to be able to hear both whenever you want to switch back and forth between them, but you also don't want the effects that you're mastering on these tracks to also be affecting these tracks, because these are already mastered. So the first thing that I like to do is reroute some things. I've created a submix stereo auxiliary track, and here's obviously the master fader. Everything's eventually going to come out of here, my main outs. But what I've done over here is simply routed my masters. Instead of to your main outputs, I've routed them to a bus called submix. That's just a stereo bus. And then this empty aux channel receives anything coming out of submix, okay? So when I press play on a song, it's going to come through the submix channel. God, you sustain me. Okay? And then anything from the submix channel is obviously now going to my main outs, which is the master fader, so we can hear it. So that's working just fine. Now I've got the reference track set up to not go through the submix channel. They're just going to go right to my main outs. And the obvious reason why is the submix channel is going to be where I'm going to be putting my mix bus effects. Okay, this is where I'm going to be putting my limiting and EQ. So if I had a song here and I am basically going to add a limiter, so choose my dynamics. Let's say Massey's limiter here. So now I'm bringing the volume up with a limiter, whatever you're doing. This isn't a tutorial on how to master, but when you start adding your effects, maybe you've got an EQ going on here to sort of adjust some of the low end, Right into this. whatever you've got going on, your effects are right here. Obviously, you want to put the limiter after the EQ, but they're not affecting this channel, okay? Let's take a listen here. So whether I bypass or not the EQ or whatever, it's not affecting this track because this track is not going through the submix channel. So that way this reference track can stay unaffected, nice and easy. And then what you're going to simply need to do is probably adjust the volume here. You know, you've got these tracks which aren't limited yet. They're much quieter volume. So having them on separate tracks makes it that easy to simply just turn down the volume of the reference track.
Like a fool. What was I supposed to do?
So you can sort of set up the volumes the way you want, so you can listen to these and actually make an informed decision. Okay, not based on this one's louder, I like it better. Bring it down to a volume that's equivalent, or use your limiting, your EQ on the submix, and none of that's going to affect what you're hearing in the reference track. And then you simply mute or unmute whichever channel you want to listen to, and they can work independently, and you can obviously drag any of these songs in or out of the session, listen to them underneath another song you're mastering, just to make sure that you're kind of keeping that same vibe. But that's all I do. I have two separate audio tracks, and I actually do my affecting on an aux track instead of the master fader, because anything on the master fader is going to affect anything you hear, okay? Hope that was helpful to you guys using reference tracks in your DAW. Again, this is Graham here at therecordingrevolution.com. Thanks for being a fan on Facebook. Thanks for following this on Twitter and on YouTube. Again, if you guys have any specific requests, videos you need to see, questions you have, if I have the answer, if I can get the answer, I will make a video for you. Wish you guys all the best. Talk to you soon.